You think you're safe.
Just constantly feel like I'm looking over my shoulder.
Just didn't think it could happen to us. We are a large company, but not in the league of the big banks. And until now, we just didn't think we'd be subject to this type of attack.
We had infrastructure in place. We had intrusion prevention, SIMs, firewalls, antivirus, vulnerability scanning, external security audits, pen tests, across the board coverage.
This was a classic spear phishing attack. The hackers stalked the target's Facebook and LinkedIn accounts. They found out what he was interested in, so they could craft an enticing email. And for all intents and purposes, it looked perfectly legitimate to the reader.
I was in IT for 15 years before I moved into management, so I've always been overly cautious on the web. This one totally fooled me.
His computer then triggered what's called a dropper. It basically drops malware onto a single computer, which spreads like wildfire throughout the entire network. It's like a cell from a skin cancer, which gets into the blood and then will swim off in search of anything that it can attack, which in this case would be other vulnerable machines.
This was an advanced persistent threat style of attack. The aim was to remain undetected for as long as possible and to own as many systems as possible.
Well, it's the equivalent of someone breaking into your house and installing surveillance equipment everywhere and watching you 24/7 for 6 months.
They then took control of every administrator account for almost every critical application. And that's when they stole entire databases relating to both HR and customer records.
All of my information is now, it's out there. My address, my medical history, my bank details, everything. I've spent 2 months getting everything canceled and then reissued and then basically clearing all trace of who I was so that no one can then go and be me. And even now, I don't know if I've done enough.
General morale in the company was very low. Everybody took this very personally, and so we should.
We immediately reached out to our industry partners and found that the stolen data had already been offered up for sale on the dark web. At that stage, it's very hard to track, which is extremely frustrating for the company and the direct victims.
We lost 30% of our client base overnight. All told, with loss of sales, loss of data, legal, PR, staff redundancies, and additional IT protection, we're talking about a $40 to $45 million loss over just 3 months.
And they've done their best to reassure me that it wasn't my fault. I've done nothing wrong. But they're gone because of my actions, because of something I did.
We know these types of attacks are increasing exponentially. They're always going to be one step ahead of the game. They're going after small, medium-sized companies now because the larger companies have security systems that are going to match what they're throwing at them.
We had a strong system in place, but it wasn't enough.
Well, in this industry, there's no room for error. I was given notice 2 months ago.
I only hope that in a few years, we can get back to where we were 6 months ago.
The trust is gone now, and I don't know if they can ever get that back.
We see compromises like WCS International far too often. The attacks are real, the effects are real, but the company isn't. WCS stands for worst case scenario, which is what we don't want to happen to you. Cybercrime is estimated to have cost companies $375 billion in 2014. How much can your company afford to lose? Information security is a complete mystery to most people, until an attack happens. Then, suddenly, it becomes very real. Inside Security is about demystifying the threats for you before they happen. We call on the best minds in the industry and the latest solutions in the industry to keep you up to date, informed and enlightened to the reality of threats and the ramifications of compromises. Whether you're an employee, a CEO, a home user or a teenager on your phone, this series is for you. Join us as we go inside security.